Dragons of the World. Legend 1, China. The Birth of the Long. Part 1. The River and the Bones. Let's not start with a monster. Let's start with a river. The Yellow River carries yellow clay down from the mountains. Its water is thick, muddy, heavy. In summer it rises overnight. A farmer walks out in the morning and cannot find his field. No boundary, no furrow, no tree by the road. Just brown water to the horizon. People lived on these banks for thousands of years. And for thousands of years they needed to explain what exactly came out of the water. The river wins. The river shines in the sun. The river swallows villages and then slides back into its banks. That is where the first image comes from. A long body. Scales that catch the light. A creature that lives underwater and wakes up whenever it pleases. There is a second source. Farmers plowed the ground and found bones in it. Enormous ones. A skull the size of a cart. A vertebra 2 men could not lift. They collected them and brought them to apothecaries. In Chinese medicine these finds were called long gu. Dragon bones. They were ground into powder and sold as a cure for fever and bad dreams. Only at the end of the 19th century did scientists open those apothecary sacks and understand what was inside. Bones of ancient rhinos. Jaws of deer. And the remains of dinosaurs, extinct millions of years before the first human being. So our ancestors were looking at real skeletons of giants. They simply had no word for dinosaur. They had the word long. Now look at what this long is supposed to look like. Take a snake. Give it a long body with no wings, flexible as a rope. Add the head of a camel with a broad forehead. The horns of a deer. The eyes of a demon, bulging. The ears of an ox. The neck of a snake. The belly of a great shellfish. The scales of a carp, in even rows. The claws of an eagle. And the paws of a tiger. This is not one storyteller's invention. This is a description from old treatises, where the dragon is taken apart piece by piece, like a blueprint. And here is where it gets interesting. Why are 9 different animals gathered in one creature? There is a version historians favor. In ancient times separate tribes lived along the great rivers. Each had its own totem. Some had the snake. Others the ox. Others the eagle or the tiger. The tribes fought. The defeated were absorbed by the winners. But their animal was not thrown away. It was added to the common banner. And the banner grew. Deer horns grew onto a serpent's body. Eagle claws were added to the horns. Century after century, alliance after alliance. The result was a creature that does not exist in nature. And yet every group could recognize itself in it. The dragon did not become a beast. The dragon became a treaty. Part 2. The Yellow Emperor and the War with Chio. Now the dragon comes down from the sky. The beginning of time. China is not yet China. Tribes wander the plains, and above them stands Huangdi, the Yellow Emperor. They call him the first sovereign. He teaches people to build carts, to heal with herbs, to raise houses out of clay. And he has an enemy. Shi Yu, They say different things about him, but they agree on one point: he is not entirely human. His head is bronze, his forehead iron. The body of a beast, the speech of a man. He eats sand and stones. He has 80 brothers, and every one of them is the same. Shi Yu was the first in the world to forge weapons out of metal. Before him men fought with sticks and stones. He took ore, built furnaces, and made swords, spears, axes and great bows. 80 brothers walked onto the field in iron from head to foot. Huang Di marched against him. The place is remembered, the field of Zhuolu. The Yellow Emperor lost the first battles. 9 times he met Shi Yu and 9 times he fell back. Nothing could break those bronze foreheads. Then Shi Yu used his main weapon. He called the spirits of wind and rain, and a fog settled over the field. Not an ordinary fog. Thick as milk, clinging, without a gap in it. For 3 days and 3 nights Huang Di's army stood inside that fog. Men lost each other at arm's length. The ranks fell apart. Nobody knew where north was. Huang Di built a cart with a figure standing on it, one arm outstretched. However the cart turned, the arm kept pointing south. Following that arm, the army walked out of the fog. This is the first compass story in Chinese legend. And it says that what leads you out of the fog is not strength but an instrument. But Shi Yu was still standing. And so Huang Di called Yinglong. Yinglong is the winged dragon. The only one in Chinese tradition with real wings. He lives in the south, in deep waters, and all the water of the world is under his power. Rain, rivers, marshes, downpours. Yinglong rose above the field of Zhuolu and began gathering water. The sky went dark. He was storing it up to drop it on Qiu's army in one flood and wash the Iron Brothers off the plain. Shi Yu moved first. He called the Lord of Wind and the Lord of Rain again, and all the gathered water blew apart into a storm. The wind turned the downpour back onto Huang Di's own army. The dragon lost his strength and fell. Then Ba came down from the sky. They call her the daughter of Huang Di. She was the spirit of drought. Wherever she passed, water left the ground, the air, and the bodies of men. Ba stepped onto the field, and the storm dried up where it stood. The rain broke off. The clouds pulled apart. The sun rose over Zhuolu, white and cruel. In the dry air Yinglong rose again. And Qiu's army broke. Qiu fell on the field of Zhuolu. They put him in fetters, and the fetters, they say, were thrown down in a field, and on that spot a grove of red maples grew. Red from his blood. And then comes the part that usually goes untold. After the battle Yinglong could not return to heaven. He had given too much strength, held the water too long. He stayed on earth in the south, among the mountains and lakes. And Ba did not return either. A spirit of drought cannot live among the clouds. She remained below, and wherever she sat down to rest, no rain fell for years. People drove her away from their fields. They made a saying about her. When drought came, they would shout, "Go away, Ba, go north." Here is the outcome of that war. There was a victory, and the victors stayed down here. The dragon who decided the battle lost the sky. The sovereign's daughter became a disaster that peasants wave away. From this war onward, the dragon in Chinese legend is tied to water not as an element but as power over it. He can give the downpour. He can take it back. Part 3. Great Yuan, the taming of the flood. Generations passed, and the water came. China tells this flood differently from the West. There is no ark here and no saved pair. Here the water stands for decades, and people live inside it. They climb the hills, build huts on the slopes, catch fish where the fields used to be. An entire generation grew up without seeing dry ground. Every river overflowed at once. The Yellow River left its banks and did not come back. The sovereign of that time, Yao, asked his court who could handle it. They named Gun. Gun was a stubborn man and decided to fight the water head-on. He built dams. He raised earthen ramparts around villages, piled up walls, blocked the channels. And he ran out of earth. So Gun, the legend says, stole a magic soil from the Lord of Heaven. It is called Shirong, the self-growing soil. A handful thrown into water grows on its own, rises into a hill, stands up as a wall. For 9 years Gun built out of stolen earth. And for 9 years the water found a way around. It undercut the ramparts from below. It spilled over the top. Every dam postponed the disaster by a year, and then burst all at once, and the stored water went down like a wall, worse than before. The Lord of Heaven learned of the theft. Gun was executed on Mount Yushan, at the edge of the world. And here is a detail worth keeping. Gun's body lay for 3 years and did not decay. Then it was opened with a knife, and his son came out of it. By one version, he came out in the shape of a dragon. You took up the same task. But he began not with work. He walked the whole flooded land on foot and looked at where the water wanted to go by itself. And he understood the main thing. His father had made war on the water. Water cannot be stopped. Water must be given a road. You stopped building walls. He started digging channels. For 13 years he ran this work. He cut passages through mountain ridges so the rivers could reach the sea. He deepened old stream beds. He joined marshes into canals. He divided the land into 9 provinces and led water through every one. And here the dragon appears. They say a yellow dragon walked ahead of you. He dragged his tail along the ground, and where the tail passed, a furrow was left. The water ran off along that furrow. The dragon drew the future rivers, and men came behind and deepened them with spades. And behind them came an enormous black turtle carrying the self-growing soil on its back. With it they filled the swamps and raised the banks. They also tell of Mount Longmen, the Dragon Gate. The Yellow River ran up against the ridge and spread out before it like a sea. You split the ridge and opened a passage, narrow and sheer. The water went through it roaring. And since then, every spring, carp swim up that current. The carp that manages to leap the Dragon Gate rapids turns into a dragon. Hence the Chinese saying about a man who has risen from nothing and passed the imperial exam, he leapt the Dragon Gate. One thing about Yu himself is always remembered. In 13 years he passed his own house 3 times. The first time he heard his wife giving birth inside, and did not go in. The second time he sought his son in a neighbor's arms and walked on. The third time the boy ran up to him himself, and he ruffled his hair and went back to work. He wore the hair off his shins. He limped, and that limp was later called the Step of You, and Taoist priests repeated it in their rituals for centuries. When the water was gone, they gave him the throne. He founded the first dynasty of China, the Xia. And here is what remains of this story. The dragon here is not a monster to be killed. The dragon here is a partner. He does not fight the man, he shows him where the water is supposed to flow. The father built walls and lost. The son followed the dragon and won. Part 4. The Dragon Kings of the Four Seas. In time, the dragon stopped being merely a river spirit. He was given a post. In the Chinese heaven, everything is arranged like a state. There is a Lord of Heaven. There are ministries. There are officials, reports, orders, and punishments for breaking them. And water in this system is a department of its own. It is run by the Dragon Kings. Long Wang. There are 4 of them, 1 per sea. The Eastern Sea, the Southern, the Western, and the Northern. Each has a palace on the seabed, and those palaces are described in detail. Walls of crystal. Roofs of mother of pearl. Floors laid with pearls. Gates that open when the water parts before a guest. The eldest of the 4 is the king of the Eastern Sea, Aoguang. He is remembered most often, because he is the one people came to with trouble. But the palaces on the seabed are the ceremonial part. The Dragon King's actual work is paperwork. Every year they receive a register from heaven. A list, how much rain for which province, in which month, on which day. No more and no less. The dragon is obliged to carry out the order exactly. And out of this grows one of the best Chinese stories. In Chang'an there lived a diviner who predicted the weather without error. The Dragon King of the Jing River took offense, some mortal is disposing of my water. He came to the diviner in human form and bet that the man would be wrong about tomorrow's rain. The diviner named the hour it would start, the hour it would end, and the exact amount of water. The dragon went home pleased, since he was the one who decided when to pour. And then the order arrived from heaven. Hour for hour, inch for inch, precisely what the diviner had said. So the dragon did a stupid thing. To win the bet, he began the rain 2 hours late and poured 3 inches less than ordered. 3 inches of water. For that he was sentenced to death. A heavenly official cut off his head in his sleep. Here is what matters in this story. The dragon is not almighty. He is a civil servant. He can drown a village, but he cannot change one line in an order. And he is held to account for deviation more strictly than a man would be. Now, how people talked to him. A drought would come. The fields cracked, the shoots burned. And the peasants went to the temple of the Dragon King. Such temples stood by every notable river and lake. First they asked nicely. They brought a pig, wine, burned incense. They put on shows. The dragon was believed to love performances, and operas were staged in front of the temple specifically for him. If that did not work, something else began. The statue of the Dragon King was carried out of the temple and set in the sun. Let him stand in the heat himself and see how it feels. Sometimes it was carried around the dry fields. Sometimes it was flogged. There are recorded cases of emperors officially demoting a dragon in rank for poor performance. By decree. Like an official caught embezzling. That is a very Chinese trait. A deity here is not above the law and not above his superiors. You make a deal with him, you demand delivery, and you punish him for missing deadlines. One last thing about the Dragon Kings. They have children, and the children keep getting into stories. The dragon's sons are counted as 9, and not one of them looks like his father. One loves weight, and is carved beneath stone slabs, holding steels on his back. One loves to look into the distance, and is set on the ridge of a roof. One loves fire and swallowing, and is cast onto incense burners. One loves music, and is placed on bells. One loves judgment and justice, and hangs above the gates of prisons. That is how the dragon spread across the country whole. Not as a single statue in a temple, but as 100 small figures on roofs, bridges, bells and gravestones. Part 5. The Pearl and the Forbidden Color. Look at any image of a Chinese dragon. Almost always there is a sphere near his jaws. It is a pearl. And people still argue about it. Some say it is the moon. Others that it is thunder rolled into a ball. Others that it is the dragon's own essence, his spirit carried outside him. There is a version that the pearl is the source of his power, and that losing it is worse than losing his claws. He does not hold it in his paws. He hides it under his chin, in a fold of scales. And out of this grows an expression every Chinese knows. The scales under a dragon's chin grow backward, against the general direction. They are called the reversed scales. Touch them and the dragon kills on the spot, no matter who you are to him. The philosopher Han Fei wrote about it plainly. A ruler, he said, also has his reversed scale. An advisor may tell his sovereign anything and stay alive, but if he accidentally brushes one particular sore spot, nothing will save him. So the dragon becomes, for the first time, a description of power. Not a symbol. An instruction manual for handling it. After that the story moves fast. The founder of the Han Dynasty, Liu Bang, was a minor village official from a common family. When he took power, someone had to explain why a peasant's son was sitting on the throne. And a legend appeared. Liu Bang's mother once fell asleep by a pond. There was thunder, there was a storm, and the father, coming to fetch her, saw a dragon lying over his sleeping wife. That is how the future emperor was born. From this moment the dragon is assigned to the throne. The emperor begins to be called the true dragon. The emperor's face is the dragon countenance. The throne is the dragon seat. His robe is the dragon robe. His death is called the ascent of the dragon. And the main rule appears. The claws. An ordinary dragon has 4 claws on a foot. The imperial one has 5. The 5-clawed dragon belongs to the sovereign alone. To put it on your clothes, your dishes, your gates is a crime. Under the Ming Dynasty men were executed for it. There were decrees listing who was allowed which dragon, one kind for the emperor's sons, another for princes, and for high officials not a dragon at all but a similar creature with a different number of claws and certain features removed. Along with the dragon, a color was locked down. Bright yellow was for the court only. A commoner in a yellow robe went to trial. There is a fine detail about the neighbors. Chinese emperors sent dragon robes as gifts to the rulers of Korea and Vietnam. But they sent them with 4 claws. The 5th stayed in Beijing. One claw on a sleeve stood in for an entire political hierarchy. And now the ending. In 1912, the last emperor abdicated. The empire was over. And the ban vanished with it. The dragon, which for 2,000 years had belonged to one man, went back to everyone. Today he is printed on t-shirts, on noodle shop signs, on the doors of taxis. 5 claws, for claws, nobody cares anymore. A creature assembled out of the totems of defeated tribes made it to the throne, sat there for 2,000 years, and came back down to the people. Part 6. What is still alive today? A legend lives as long as somebody makes it with their hands. Let's look at where you can touch the Chinese dragon right now. First, the boats. The 5th day of the 5th lunar month. Long narrow boats line up on the rivers. The prow is carved as a dragon's head, the stern is a tail. Inside, 20 rowers, a drummer at the front. The boats race, the drum sets the tempo, the water boils. The story behind it is not a cheerful one. There lived a poet and official named Xu Yuan. He served the state of Chu, warned his ruler of disaster, was not listened to, and was sent into exile. When the capital fell to the enemy, Xu Yuan walked to the Miluo River, embraced a stone and stepped into the water. Fishermen rushed out in boats to look for him. They did not find him. So they began beating the water with their oars and pounding drums, to drive fish and river dragons away from the body. And they threw rice wrapped in leaves into the water, so the fish would eat that instead of the poet. Both customs are alive. Dragon boat racing is now an international sport. And the rice and leaves, zongzi, is still cooked and eaten on that day. Second, the dance. New Year. A dragon is carried down the street on poles. It can be 10 meters long, or 100. Every pole is held by a person, and they all run, raising and lowering their own segment. From the side it looks as if the body is moving in a wave. At the front, a man with a ball on a stick. That same pearl. The dragon chases it and cannot catch it, and that is the whole dance. What matters here is that you cannot dance a dragon alone. He exists only when 20 people fall into a shared rhythm. One man off the beat and the wave breaks. A creature assembled out of tribes still demands that people act together. Third, the bones. Remember the apothecary Long Gu, the dragon bones from the first part? In 1899, an official in Beijing fell ill and bought a powder at a pharmacy. Examining the fragments before they were ground, he saw scratches on them. Not random ones. Signs. They turned out to be the oldest Chinese writing in existence. Oracle bones of the Shang dynasty, more than 3,000 years old. They were used like this. A question was written on the bone was heated, the cracks were red, and the answer was recorded. Thousands of such bones had been ground into powder and drunk as medicine. What survived became the foundation of all early Chinese history. The dragon bones turned out to be exactly what people thought they were. Not a cure for fever, but a message from the ancestors. And finally, the main difference. The Western dragon and the Chinese long are not the same creature under two names. Translators confuse them, and the confusion holds to this day. The Western dragon guards gold, burns villages, and lives in a cave. He is evil made flesh, and the whole plot with him is to come and kill him. St. George, Beowulf, Siegfried. A hero is defined by having beaten a dragon. The Chinese long guards no gold. He brings rain. He lives in water, not in a cave. He has no wings, yet he flies. He is not killed, he is petitioned. Temples are built for him. People complain to him about drought and carry his statue into the sun when he is doing his job badly. In one culture, the dragon is what you must destroy in order to become a hero. In the other, it is what you must come to terms with so the harvest survives. And when a Chinese person says he is a descendant of the dragon, this is what he means. Not a monster. A river that feeds and drowns. A force you cannot fight, but can build a relationship with. Yu's father built walls and died. His son followed the dragon and opened its road to the sea. End of Legend 1.